everyone. We've got breaking news from Qatar yesterday or the day before. Days are all blending together. But Donald Trump has made some pretty big announcements.
3, 2, 1, fight off.
The headline is Trump wants 2 new cutting-edge fighters, the F-22 Super and the F-55. This is Axios reporting. Boost for Lockheed Martin, the Raptor, and the F-35. They're going to upgrade it. And we've talked about that on the Mover and Gonky show. They are going to pitch a 5th gen plus version of the F-35.
You mean like 6th gen, minus 6th gen?
Nope,
Something? Minus
5
6.
plus.
5 plus. So it's like a NASCAR upgrade, so to speak.
Already?
We take the F-35 and apply some of those co-funded technologies for both the NGAD and the F-35.
Wow.
80%, 60% of the time, it works every time. It's 80% of the capability for the half the price. And take some of the tech from the bid to get the 6th gen, the NGAD, put it in the F-35. And now here we are. Trump's basically announcing it. And President Trump had some things to say. Let's take a look at what he said.
Sometimes, stealth, they do stealth. I'm not a huge believer in stealth because stealth is basically a lot of it's the design and the shape. And, I'm sure you maybe think, but also if that's the case, they're going to figure it out pretty fast, I think. So you're going to design an ugly plane for stealth reasons. And then 6 months later, they're going to figure out this, and then you're stuck with a plane. Now we're doing a super F-22, and we're going to be going with it pretty quickly.
Okay, so super F-22. We don't want to get stuck with stealth. That, Trump talks a lot in hyperbole, and he kind of uses some very dramatic language, but he's right. Stealth has its limitations. It's not invisible. It can be overcome with radar tech. It can be overcome with various tactics, techniques, and procedures. And Fat Amy's not the best looking airplane. So he's right. We do make a lot of compromises for stealth. And then when it's overcome, then what? Now you're stuck with a stealth aircraft. There is a lot of electronic warfare stuff out there that is, I'm not going to say better, but there's stuff out there that you can do that's not just stealth. So he's right. He's correct in that technology advances. What we thought, because stealth is really low radar cross section, it's not invisible. So a really good radar or really good sensors can still see stealth aircraft in a lot of cases. So it's good that we have this kind of a forward thinking, hey, what's the next tech? What's next? The F-22 Super. I don't know how that's going to work because the assembly line has been shut down. Was it Marietta, Georgia? To retool it, to get all the parts and stuff, especially being a 30-year-old design. I don't know if it'd just be cheaper just to get a new aircraft. I'm sure, Lockheed has talked to him about this. So if the man says they're going to do it, I'd be interested to see how they're going to do it. I think that's a very interesting idea. I don't disagree with it, especially if we can buy the numbers that we originally were going to buy, the 800 versus the 185, 187. So I think that's a good idea. We talked about it with the NGAD video with the diagram or the PowerPoint slide that General Alvin presented. But you need your first day of the war fighters, and then you need a lot of other fighters. So I think that's a good idea with diversity. Now, the other piece that he talks about, Trump also does not like a single engine F-35.
The F-35, we're doing an upgrade, a simple upgrade, but we're also doing an F-55. I'm going to call it an F-55, and that's going to be a substantial upgrade, but it's going to be also with 2 engines because the F-35 has a single engine. I don't like single engines. Even
Gonky
this
loved
man,
this.
he's the best in the world at engines, but on occasion, I know you won't admit this, if an engine goes out, it's nice to have 2, 3, or 4. That's why I like the 747. It's got 4. And but today they're getting very big, and it's a little more cost saving to have 2 very, very big ones. But no matter how good, they tell me, Larry, the engine will never go out. Well, I think it goes out. on occasion, very rarely. And we're going to do an F-55. And I think if we get the right price, we have to get the right price. And that'll be 2 engines and a super upgrade on the F-35. And then we're going to do the F-22. I think the most beautiful fighter jet in the world is the F-22, but we're going to do an F-22 Super. And it'll be a very modern version of the F-22 fighter jet. And I don't know if you know it, but you know who copied it? China. They copied it. I said, I'm looking. They said, that's the F-22. They copied our design. But they won't be able to copy our engines too quickly or anything else. So we're going to be doing an F-22 Super. And this will be a plane like no, to me, it's the most beautiful fighter jet ever made.
F-22 Super. And that's what we were just talking about, the F-35. Lockheed has already talked about doing an F-35 plus. So let's talk about the F-55. Gonky and I will disagree on this one. We probably will talk about this on the show on Monday. But the F-35 is single engine. I flew Vipers my whole career. I don't think there's any problem with single engine. Gonky will disagree. President Trump obviously disagrees. So, okay. But he talks about copying from the Chinese copying the F-22. Well, guess what? If you want a 2-engine F-35, what do you have? The J-35. That's what's going to look like. We're just going to copy back the copy of the copy to the copy of the copy from China. A 2-engine F-35. I don't know how you're going to do that without clean sheet. You know, a lot of the compromises made in the F-35 were so that all 3 services could have it. So, you know, I mean, I guess in the world of digital and AI design, you might be able to do it, but I think it's pretty ambitious. The most realistic thing of all this to me seems to be upgrading the F-35 to, you know, having the new tech from the NGAD, upgrading and the SLEP, the service life extension. I think in the F-22, I think that's realistic, and putting some of the tech from the NGAD in there. I don't know how realistic it is to build F-22s again and make it a super. I love the idea, though. I hope we do it. I don't know how realistic it is to do an F-55, but I hope we do it, because I think more diverse fighters that aren't necessarily, you know, NGAD is the way to go. Like, I think you need a mix of everything, you know, EX, F-16, F-35 plus, you know, F-55 if we get that, F-22. Like, I think this is a great idea. The stuff about 1 engine versus 2, yeah, okay. I mean, is it safer? It depends. Yeah, I mean, it is nice having 2 engines, especially with the boat. You know, I wonder, we still don't have an FAXX. So the Navy still hasn't announced that. And I wonder if this has something to do with it, if they're kind of like, hey, you know, this, we need to, but I don't know. But I thought it was interesting, the comments that were made. And, you know, I hope it comes to fruition, because any event, regardless of politics, I think it's good that the goal is to be, is to have air superiority and air dominance. And you do that by innovation and continuing to make good fighters and continue to produce fighters and not having small numbers. Because when you have small numbers, you can't get enough training, can't get enough flight time, things break, all that stuff, and it costs way more. So diversity of fleet is good, and having more is great. So I hope we end up doing this. But let me know what you think.